Parts of this might have to be edited later. Not going to tell you who, for the sake of their anonymity, but someone asked me to tell them how to make a snowflake. Problem is, that was a long time ago and I never got around to it, even though I should have just a little sooner. This is that video. But before I can get to that, I first have to explain how to use Blender to begin with. So this is going to be a 2-in-1. When you first start up Blender, you're going to see the splash screen. But it won't just be any splash screen. It'll be the starter preferences. It'll ask you what controls you want to use best. When you click out of the start screen, i.e. you don't touch anything in it, the best way to get it back is through the icon menu and choose splash screen. But let's head over to preferences for a moment. This is where that splash screen would come in the first time you see it, but if you click out of it, then you're going to want to edit things here. Now, I believe I do need to take the time to segue and explain the wacky setup. Fun fact, I learned about Blender when it was first 2.49, but actually began using it when it was 2.5. Not much between the 2 points of time, but what matters is during such times they used right-click select, which their feedback community is based on, which I'm having a tough time believing they actually check through when there's some things very, very wrong with grease pencils I previously expressed. Most notably, you'll see that select with mouse button is set to right instead of left. It took me a while. The learning curve for Blender is a little bit steep to begin with, but I began getting used to using right-click select when it came to Blender and left-click for everything else in life. So that is to say, when I do things, when I select things, I'll select it with right mouse, but I may have to tell you, hopefully just once, that in your case it would probably be left mouse. Same thing with the spacebar. The spacebar tends to do different things depending on left or right. In my case, it plays the physics. It plays animations and if they apply any physics in the scene. For you, it might do something completely different like search. One of those things I did get used to was instead of using spacebar to get the search buttons, the search options to show up, is instead I would have to press W instead. No. I mean F3. So in the case of right-click select, if spacebar doesn't get you to play the animation or the physics, then it might instead pull up this menu. You may want to take the time to configure this yourself, but I will try to make it as helpful as possible for anyone using right or left. Finally, right-click itself. Oftentimes, when you press right-click anywhere else in life that isn't Blender, you'll get a context menu. A menu related to whatever it is you clicked on, if not just empty space. That is where W comes in. Only it applies to what you have selected at the time. So for instance, if I had a different object, something that wasn't the same, you'll notice that the options have changed. And they do in fact change between each object. So please keep that in mind with what you have selected. Oh, and also, finally, the 3D cursor. Because I'm using right-click select, this means that left-click moves the 3D cursor. The 3D cursor has a location and rotation. Unlike your 2D mouse cursor. Things are going to get a little wacky at first. This tutorial might come hard to follow come a little bit hard to follow, but I'll try to help you out as best as I can. Before I tell anyone how to make anything in Blender, I have to go over the controls first, so this might take a little while. Some things match between right-click select and left-click select, but again, it's all based on preferences. And I say this for one main reason. The whole left-click select thing didn't quite occur to Blender or its developers until around 2.8. That's right, 2.8 released, and they finally jumped into the left click select zone, into left click select craze, the industry standard. But by then it was too late for people like me who are used to right click select. Or should I say probably just me, because I'm pretty sure as soon as everyone got into 2.8, they started using left click select. But that is a story for another time. As far as making a Snowflake is concerned, that depends on the shape of it. I'll get to that a little later. But let's start with the simple cube right now. We are in object mode. There are two ways to change this, through a drop-down menu here and through a pie menu. Where is it? Geez, if only I knew where it was. Hold it, hold it, hold it. We have web searching for that. What's the pie menu for this? Okay, so it's Control Tab. Thank you, web search, for telling me the answer. Thank you, Blender Manual, for telling me the answer. When it comes to manipulating objects, there are three main things you want to worry about. Rotation, rotation, and scale. To move an object, press the G key. That should be default. To rotate an object, press R. Why is G to move? Because G means grab in this case. To confirm in my case is left click select. For you it might be enter. Undo is also Control Z, but redo isn't Control Y, it's Control Shift Z. Rotation is R. And there are two ways you can rotate. From your view and like a trackball as it reads. Sort of like gimbal. Finally, you have scale. Oh. And that's right. When you translate an object like this, if you press either X, Y, or Z, you will lock it to that axis. If you press Shift and the axis in question, you will lock it to all but that axis. So for this case, I pressed Shift X, and now it will never move on the X axis for as long as this is happening. The same applies for rotating and scaling. Even after meds, I'm still battling a cough. I'm working on it, please bear with me. But there's something you need to know about this. I can translate an object in object mode, and it will also apply in edit mode. However, if I go into edit mode and do the same thing, see that little orange dot in the center? That's its origin point. It will not move this time. So how do you fix this? Let's say I scale this object a bunch in object mode. Nothing changed. You'll see how the scale says it's changed in the transform context menu on the right hand side there. But it doesn't apply in edit mode apparently. So how do we get that to apply? When you alter something in object mode and you want to stay as it was, as if you did in edit mode, you press Ctrl A and choose to apply the scale. It's hard to explain why this is important right now. I'll get to that later. When you apply, translations that involve moving away from the center of the viewport, or that is, moving its origin point. When you apply, its origin point returns to the center. So as you can see, I applied the location of the object. So that when I try to clear it by pressing Alt G, it's not going to work because it's already applied. Not even in edit mode. So how do we fix this? By setting the origin. For this case, I'm just going to set it to the geometry. And then when I try to clear its location, there we go, back at the center. It's kind of wacky that way, but I'm sure you'll understand why later. Or at least try to get used to it. Alright, let's try it this way. Let's see if I can't just tell you how to make Snowflake and tell you the controls along the way. Let's look at the top view for this. This is going to make things easier. More objects is enabled, so you'll see just this bunch here down to the monkey if you didn't enable more objects. And I'm considering getting rid of Archimesh if it's not going to be useful to me right now, because that's an add-on as well. But the rest of these are extra objects, and I don't use all these except this single vert. You don't have to do it this way. There is another way. For this case, I'm just going to add either a plane or a cube. Either way works. And then, in edit mode, I'm going to press M, and then merge everything at the center. Same effect. What do I mean, same effect? Single vertex. What was once 4 is now 1. If I'm not mistaken, a snowflake has the same shape on all 6 sides. 6 different sides. They are all symmetrical that way. Let's go looking for a picture of a snowflake. Okay, I found one. Now let's drag it in here. I'm just going to left-click drag out of the window, and it'll work by dragging it straight to Blender. Let it go, and in the image goes. Excuse me? Okay, I saw what I was doing wrong. I was dragging onto the object. Alt G to clear its location, but not its rotation because I want it this way. And now we have this. But we need to drop the opacity just a little. Thankfully, it's right here. 0.5 will do it. Back to the plane, let's go over here. I fear I might be moving a little fast. I'll try to fix that later. Just bear with me, please. We have this single vertex. We're not about to trace this whole snowflake drawing, believe me. I won't torture you with that. I won't. Instead, I'm just going to drag the vertex somewhere where I believe to be the middle. Or no. Better yet, just right here. Now, in my case, it's Shift and left click. Might be just left click for you. Control left click in my case. I'm ignoring curves for a very specific reason. I'll get to that in just a moment. Trust me on this one. Thankfully, with the grid here, life is a little easier. I'm control clicking my way through this entire drawing, and I'm giving a rough estimate. Right about here, we'll do it. I'm going to convert this to a curve. Not hair curves, just a regular curve. Wait, so Bezier curve isn't in there? Because that's what I'm looking for. That's very strange. Well, this is awkward. How do I fix this? I guess that won't work then. So we're just gonna have to straight up add a Bezier curve, which is perfectly fine with me because it means I just get to do this. When I press, no, what was the key again? V. There it was. H is to hide things. Shift H is to unhide. Everything's going to be vector for the time being, except for the parts that I want to turn into actual curves later. And that's the whole point I'm trying to get at. The problem is, very clearly, I'm not sure when it happened, but you can't change meshes into Bezier curves anymore. That's a very pitiful shame. Okay, let's select all of these. And change them into free. No, 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 no. Aligned. But first we're going to subdivide those specific portions right there. So now we have one in the middle. And then we're going to change them into aligned. Why would I do this? The middle one's being aligned now. That's exactly what I'm going to achieve. So it's going to take a little bit of editing here and there. When you select a handle this way, you can edit its curve shape. And that's exactly what I'm going for. It's a messy way of doing it, but there is worse. Don't worry, this is only the hard part. So, worst case, this doesn't work out, I'll just try again until I get it right. That's all that matters. Let's straighten this out a little bit. Okay, that's close enough. Wait. There, that's a little better. Convert to a mesh. Press X, but instead of delete, just limited dissolve. Doesn't get me the result I'm looking for. Not too bad, though. And now, for the fun part. Well, first, let's fill in the face. Okay, not yet. Because of that section right there. Modifier time. Put that in the center. Scale that. And apply the scale. We don't need this anymore. Instead, we're going to set its origin to the 30 cursor, and then array it. We're going to array it 6 times. I'm holding shift while I do this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I just did that. Okay, so the background sucks. We want to change the color a little bit. We can do that. This is the world color background here, but we can edit someplace else if I'm not mistaken. Holy crap, where is it? This is in preferences. Hold it. Yeah, I overlooked it. I just, it was right in front of me. It was right here. So now when I change this, there we go. But now we need to apply this. It is as simple as two things. If you have a single modifier, you can just press Control A. If you have multiple, you can choose to convert the object to a mesh and get the same result. What am I doing? I'm choosing two vertices and pressing F to fill a face. But because they're just vertices, it's going to create an edge instead. Same effect. So we have our snowflake here, but it's going to be very, very flat. We don't want that. We want to have some sort of shape. That can be quite achieved, actually. And to make sure there aren't any double vertices, I'm just going to press M and merge by distance. Nothing. Okay. Let's extrude. When you press extrude, it automatically extrudes from the Z direction locals of the face. Pressing 3 puts me in face select mode. I can also select it from here. I'm going to press the face, and global and local are the same right now. We're still in object mode. We need to fix that right now if we're going to make things look better. But there is one thing I like to do. Nothing in life is perfectly sharp. Thankfully, there's a modifier for that. It's called bevel. So there are two things we need to do. First, we're going to apply a bevel modifier. You can do this automatically in edit mode with Control B, but it's destructive that way. We want a non-destructive method. What I don't understand is why it's treating me this way. I did that to make sure it would look just a little bit better, but apparently it didn't. No, that's bad. Let's go to be trying to see how this looks. It's freezing. I had to make it very small. Holy crap. I suppose we'll look through that later. Back in solid mode. We still do this color. Okay, fine, it is back in rendered mode. We do this color that tells us it's a snowflake. A color and a material. A material that represents this much. The texture will come a little bit later. We're going to be very basic right now. I'll come back to it later. Or maybe when I look it up a little. Because textures, and I mean normal textures, that is, normal face textures, are a different story. It's still not transparent. We can fix that right now. Set that to something other than 1, other than 0. But now it's completely see-through. Point 2 will do it, maybe point 3. And because the empty is not really an object, we can't see it. We can make that possible. It's just called objects through planes. Images as planes. So we have our snowflake here. I believe there is one more thing we need to do. One final touch we need to add. We need to make it rain snowflakes. And what better way than with a particle system, because I'm not about to explain geometry nodes when it's way too complex right now. Where is it? There it is. Particle system emitter. We need to choose the object here, the snowflake. The amount I want is to be somewhere around 5,000 for the time being until I see how it looks, and we want this to last that much time. So for the time being, nope. Render is an object. It's falling like rain. We don't want that. Nope. Too large. There we go, I guess. Scale randomness. Just a little. There we go. But we don't want it to fall like rain. Velocity. Normal velocity. Let's set that back a little bit. And change it to someone lower than 1. Let's try 0.2 and see what that gets us. It's still going to fall like crazy, so we need to go into the physics settings, field weights. Change this to something like 0.3 and see what happens. Well, there we go. And since we don't want to copy object rotate, copy object rotation of since we don't know the copy object rotation of the snowflake, we just edit it elsewhere. Where is it? No, we don't want object rotation. But I guess we don't have a choice right now because it's not giving us another way. They're dying too fast. I'll fix that shortly. Fine. Again, they're dying too fast. Let's fix that. Okay, we're almost there. See, that's not how snowflakes fall. That's not even how leaves fall. Force object. Wind. And I want to... Yes, that way. No. That's not gonna win. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna win. We need some randomization in here. Noise amount. Okay, and so the first thing we need to do is... And the second thing we need to do is... Now? Don't worry, I'll hide the emitters soon. I will, I promise. Let's raise strength. Just a tad. Let's say 2 and see what happens. Okay, we're nearly there. We have the snow going here. We have the snowflakes going here. I'll add snow some other time. But if I had to say, yeah, maybe I should stop before I get too far ahead and just position this somewhere I want to see it. Tell the emitter to hide itself. The draw distance, oh god. Are you serious? Hey, wrong one. Oh my gosh. First let me say this. I could have sworn sometime that this past, I made a lantern. And all I need is that one lantern to make this scene really great. Because instancing is a thing. A lantern or a lamp post. Let's see where the hell it is. I found it. Though I could swear I made another one. For now, I'll just paste this in here. We have the lamppost there. Let's get rid of this. I know I segued a whole bunch, just bear with me. Okay, we need to put these in their own collection, so... Good. We have this line here. We need to array it without raising the vertex count of the entire scene. We can very much do that. This is one way to do it, but there is another, because by doing it this way, we'll be copy pasting all day. We don't want that. So I guess we do have to increase the vertex count, which means the best way to do it is, well, by arraying wonder if there's any way to array this without having to go through hell. That's a shift S, and I say selection to active. Wrong objects, no wonder. There we go. There we go. So what did I just do that I had to search a video for? First, let me duplicate this array, and perfect. Okay, let me explain what I just did. The plane, in particular, I enabled instancing on faces. Then I took the lamppost object. I took those objects and parented it to the plane. And since the array modifier is active, that means the face applies not only to the face of the base object, but every instance of the face from the array. Presto. So finally, let's just add a plane. Another plane anyway. That'll act as a floor. We need to apply some roughness to this and darken it just a little. There we go. The result I was actually looking for. Oh no. I have to continue this later because I suddenly have to leave. But it means I have to edit things. Oh well. Time jump, but don't worry, I'll explain right now. The same way I parented the lamppost to the plane to make it share the array is the same way I parented the light emitter here to the plane. Because even though in cycles, objects with emissive materials will give off light, that's because Cycles is a ray tracing engine. Eevee is a rasterizing engine, i.e. game engine. Translation, it does not. So I had to put a light object right where the emiss right where the I had to put an emissive object, a light object, an actual light object, right where the glowing spheres were. Or in this case, sphere was, and then parented it to the plane, and parented to the plane, and then and then which resulted in I know I'm stuttering, just bear with me, which resulted in it sharing the array with everything else. Now for the texturized fog you're seeing here, can I make that any larger? Oh, I can. Uh, that's better, I think. What you're looking at to begin with, I test this with a cube first, which is why you don't see it here because it doesn't matter. is is volumetric is a volumetric field. I could apply the background in here, but it doesn't even matter. But now we have that in here, we want to raise the color, which I will shortly. Volume is possible in both evening cycles, just how it gets treated. but they're nearly identical. The emission color is basically color. The real color doesn't matter. It's the emissive color you want. So I'm gonna raise that just a little. So it's more reminiscent of Silent Hill, give or take, with the point objects being inside of it, which is why it gives off that weird look. I just raised the emissive color a little so you can see what's going on. I pulled the camera back and stretched out the plane a little on the y-axis so we could see all 5 lampposts going down the row. Though if I raise the strength, I can, in theory, just hide a little. I checked online for some node setups looking like this, and lo and behold, Blender Secrets had what I was looking for, with the noise texture and map range, but I had to edit it a little to match the scene here. This is yellow because I keyframed it. By pressing I can apply a keyframe, as you can see here when I select the node. It doesn't show it when I select other nodes, it only has it with this keyframe, with this node in particular. The start frame, one keyframe. The end frame will be the same thing, and if I change the value anywhere between fail to keyframe it, then when I move it back, it'll just go back to a different color. It's color coded. It's color coded that way. I'm having a very tough time explaining here. Just bear with me. But why did I do this? Why did I add fog to this scene? And why did I why did I jump from snowflakes to let's add fog in a scene to this? Because snowflakes alone were just a little too plain. It's refreshing constantly, so that's why you see the lighting go away. Hey, something's not right. Oh, oh. There we go. Now I can in fact bring this just a little closer, or just scale it up a bunch. Apply apply the scale, go in here, and raise the number to about maybe 1500, and then try that again. Now this is just what it looks like in the viewport. You might notice that it's getting a little bland. It's not rotating on its own. Now let's try it again. Okay, so we got that working. Now, excuse me while I end the recording here. Viewport render it, and then put the result, tag that result at the very end of the video. Check the very beginning to see how to make a snowflake, be it a little improved. I'll try again at a later point, and hopefully soon, I mean.